Yo, listen up, I'm gonna tell the tale about someone that you don't know. Then by the end, we're gonna sing a song. Leave no hero unsung. I said, no hero, no hero, no hero left unsung. I said, no hero, no hero, no hero left
You
unsung.
want to do it like someone joked and then we all laugh?
Yeah.
No.
There it is.
Gosh, this is so awkward now we're on camera. It's like,
Are you gonna stare in the camera and give
Right there, Johnny.
okay. Welcome to the Unsung Heroes Podcast, Season 2. I'm joined with a few of my friends. We have Sam.
Hello, hello.
We have James.
How's it going?
And we have Daniel.
Salam.
Always with
Always
the...
gotta do
Yeah.
the
back.
language.
Wow, it has been so long since the last season of Unsung Heroes. That's what we're calling these, by the way. We had season 1 almost 7 years ago.
Wow.
Well, 7 years ago when it started. I think 6 years ago when it ended, which is insane to think about how long it's been. Now, after such a long hiatus, we are bringing you season 2. And if you can't already tell, we have some upgrades this season.
Just a bit.
Just a
A little
few.
bit.
Yes. First of all, we now have a video version of the podcast. So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, you can switch to the video version. I think on Spotify you can switch to the video version potentially if we get that set up.
So
That's
I'm
up
not
to
sure.
producer
Stay tuned for that
Daniel,
one.
maybe.
YouTube for sure. The others. we'll
Yes,
see.
we are also on YouTube. So go over to YouTube and you can watch the video version of the podcast and see our beautiful faces.
This reminds me of when my wife tells me to get a chore done, and I say I will do it eventually. I promise.
Yeah.
7
It's
years
been
later.
6
here we
years.
are.
Yeah,
Sorry,
seriously.
honey.
If you don't
Here we
remember,
are.
if you don't remember, at the end of the last season, we promised you we would come back, and we
And we
did.
did.
We did it.
We didn't say when.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Another upgrade we have is that we have our friend Austin as a off-camera producer, who I'm looking at right now, but none of you watching the video can see him. Austin, you want to say hi?
Hey, everybody.
Wow.
The one and only.
Man, a few words.
He does have his own mic, but you can't see him past the camera. So, oh, there he is.
Oh, Daniel's-
There he
Daniel's
is.
showing
Okay,
him. Nice, perfect.
I'll just put this in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So a few things about producer Austin. First of all, he's the only one who's going to be allowed to Google things or research things while we are presenting about our unsung heroes. So the rest of us, we're going to have to throw it to him if we have any follow-up questions. He's going to be looking stuff up for us. Maybe in the future, he'll have some other fun things for us up his sleeves.
I thought he was going to do a Snopes fact check. If we say something stupid,
Yeah.
wrong.
Like red button or something.
Yeah. I should say for any new listeners or for anyone who may have forgot what the premise of this show even is, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Unsung Heroes Podcast, where we set out to leave no hero unsung. What that means is every episode, one of the four of us will do research and present on an unsung hero from history. Someone in, who is a hero in terms of war, in terms of medicine, in terms of politics, maybe. I mean, in kind of any field, they could be what we consider an unsung hero. And at the end of the episode, we will write and produce and record a full song about that person so that they are no longer an unsung hero.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, it's especially now with all these production upgrades, it's going to be fun, I think.
Yeah.
And
This also represents a transition from the pre-AI to post-AI revolution.
yeah. Last season, there was no AI.
There wasn't.
no way.
Yeah.
This season, we also need to address this. We vow? Should we vow, guys?
I think we should vow.
Yeah.
We should vow.
Put your hand on your heart.
Vow this way.
Sure, yes. Whatever that was, yes, do that.
To never use AI. We're not using AI on this whole show, except for producer Austin. He is completely AI. No, I'm
It's
just
not
kidding.
real.
He is not real.
You think he's there, but he's not.
No, I'm just kidding. Austin is also not AI. The songs at the end, we will legitimately record and produce fully with no AI. Yeah, I just want to say that up top because nowadays you never know what you're going to get when it comes to online content. But we vow never to use AI.
Join the resistance, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
That's good.
so we got some introing out of the way. I don't remember if there's anything else I need to say at the beginning of the
I don't
pod.
think so.
Besides the fact that we should probably catch up a little bit before we jump into the unsung hero for this episode, whom James will be presenting to us.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. I know how to say whom
Whom?
correctly.
Austin,
He's
is
a
that
school teacher.
correct?
Is that correct, Austin?
Give it to us.
Yeah.
Put it in ChatGPT.
Austin's literally
He's
looking it
Googling whom right now.
up. You don't have to look it up, Austin.
No mercy.
Whomst.
Whomst.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
Always stuck out.
Yeah, so before James gets into that unsung hero, let's just catch up a little bit about our lives. Let's start to Daniel. Daniel, what you been up to the past 6 years or so?
Oh boy. Still live in the same city that we used to, but we bought a house, we had a baby, and we started a business, and we've traveled the world. So we've done a lot of things in our lives, and I feel I'm still in my 20s, so that hasn't changed, but just at the end of it, and I feel like in my core, I'm the same person. I'm sure you guys all relate to this, but also all the different responsibilities that have been added to my plate have, in a sense, made me feel like a different person. So it's a weird time to be a man, a growing man. So
I feel like even the world has changed a lot in the past like 5-6 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
So that's probably had an effect.
Yeah,
too.
it is weird because we grew up in that transition of the world going into social media and technology. So in a sense, it felt like how much more could have changed, but it really has changed tremendously. So, but I'm excited for this podcast to grow into different, hopefully check into our lives of just see what we look like and how we interact with each other and what we sound like in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So we'll see how long this goes. But
Yeah.
This episode is also
Wow.
brought to you by Yilmaz
Daniel's-
Media
by
Yeah.
Yilmaz Media Co, the business that me and my wife co-own. So
There we go.
Yeah,
check us out.
that's how we're able to have such high production, honestly. Like the video version of the podcast. I mean, even these mics, everything belongs to Daniel's business. So it is officially produced by Yilmaz Media Co. If you want your podcast or videos or website or something,
this is not, we're not shilling for our company. Let's move on to James Gilbert.
Yeah.
What's
I-
changed in your life?
I can relate to the responsibility increase changes you as a person. Same person, of course. I was in my master's last time we had the podcast. I have since completed it.
and you're now in your
In my PhD.
That's right.
I'm now also ABD, which means I
Lifelong.
finished all my PhD requirements save the dissertation. I probably should be working on it right now, but here we are. I'd rather be here. This is good. So I'm doing a PhD in ancient Near Eastern archaeology. So I've done excavations in Cyprus a lot. I was supposed to be in Jordan this summer, or I guess last summer now, until events in the Middle East, took me away from that. So hopefully I'll be in Israel perhaps this coming summer doing more excavation. My expertise is kind of late antiquity, early Byzantine stuff, early Christianity, architecture, cityscape, landscape stuff. So that'll hopefully be what I get into. But
so
that's,
if y'all remember from last season, James was our resident historian, and he has delved even more
gotten
into
more
that.
so.
It's probably
Even
gotten more so.
The gap is wider now
That's
than
right.
it ever has
Exactly.
been.
That's right. I know less about history than I did before. James knows a lot more. So he is definitely our resident expert in terms of history, although he's still not allowed to look stuff up during the podcast.
True. True.
Yep.
Yes.
Cue
It's only
Austin.
Austin.
Yeah, and
Hello,
other stuff.
Austin.
Still married, got now 2 kids, and got a house recently. So we're kind of shocked about that too. So I mean, in this economy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So that's me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have been kind of all over the place. And several of you guys have kind of traveled around as well. So we, right after the podcast, we went overseas for a little bit just to travel, and then came back, ended up getting a degree and have had 3 kids since last time, which I have to say. So my oldest right now is 5, and then by the time this podcast is released, my second born will be 3 years old. And
What are you talking about? This is coming out like the next day.
Right now.
Oh, okay, right. Like live streaming, right?
Yeah. No.
So, but I have to say that these kids probably will always be the biggest fans of the Unsung Heroes podcast. And I am so glad we are doing this again, because I am tired of listening to the same songs over and over and over again.
That's really
which is, it's super cute. But, like after the 15th time of Dicey Langston and Captain Bartlett, I'm like, all right, let's find some new people. But
on that note, real quick, I hadn't listened to the music that much over the last few years. James and I did most of the song making and production and whatever. The last few years I haven't listened to it that much, but recently, so I have a son, which I wanted to make a joke about how Daniel had 1 and James had 2 and Sam had 3, and then I have just 1. I was going to say it goes up to 4, but whatever. I don't have 4 kids. I have 1 son, and he has what's called a Tony box. Do you guys know what that is?
Oh yeah, is it like
you
a
put
little
the card in?
Yeah.
Or it's a little figure. So it's a box that's like a speaker, and it's for kids, and they put little characters on top of it, and it plays sounds from
we have the same
characters.
thing, but with cards. It's going to be a box. Yeah.
So they have this one figure that you can load your own sounds or songs into, and then when your kid puts it on the box, it'll play that sound. So I loaded it with season 1, all the songs.
Nice.
Oh man. And now I'm sick of those songs.
Never do it, man.
Yeah.
Man.
So
But
we're gonna have to make new music.
yeah,
For sure.
I will say you haven't lived until you've heard a 2-year-old rap Lady True.
Oh my
which is just the most beautiful thing to see in the world. It's comical. It's the best.
Yeah, we're gonna make some more complicated fast rap, maybe gangster rap, and then we're gonna get our kids to
Get it?
Oh my word. Yikes.
Oh man, it's great.
So anything else, Sam, before
No, I think that's it. Well, I will say we did also get a house, and we are currently sitting in our converted studio space. So it's most of the time just an office, but we have enjoyed it.
So James is the resident historian, Daniel's the producer, I make the music, and Sam, we do this at your house, bro.
Yep.
The host.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
The home
but I'm
host.
not
And
the
you have a lot
host.
more to offer, honestly. You have a lot more to offer
That's
than
all
just
you
the
are.
I
We
just
just
supply
need
the
the
space.
space.
And yep.
So for me, I as I said, have a son now. My wife and I and son, we live full time in Germany now. We've moved to Germany, but for the next 6 months, we're going to be here in this. Do we say where we are? We're in South Carolina, by the way. I don't know if that matters.
I forget if we ever.
Are we
addressed that, if
doxing
we're trying
ourselves
not
on
to.
the
I don't
first
know,
episode?
man.
Generic
I don't
enough,
know. We mentioned the business name, so people are gonna know.
That's true.
Where?
Yeah. So we're now for 6 months in South Carolina, which is how we're able to do this podcast. So on that note, actually, I should have said this earlier. We made season 1 years ago. Now we're making season 2, and it's going to be a season of the podcast. So we're back for 12 episodes. We are going to make 12 episodes, produce 12 songs, and that's probably going to take us about 6 months to do all that. And then we're all going to be disbanded into different places again. And so
Unsung Heroes Diaspora.
The diaspora.
that's right.
See you again in 7 years after that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're bringing you 12 episodes for season 2. And then maybe someday in the future, we'll be able to do season 3. Stay tuned for that. Anything else we want to chat about before we get into it?
I think we get into it, man.
I'm
I'm
ready.
Yeah.
excited to hear
yeah.
about who
Let's-
James has to present on.
Yeah.
Whom?
It's my wife. No,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Quick
the real
shout out
Unsung
to all of our
Heroes.
wives.
Yes.
Indeed.
They are
Yes.
the real unsung heroes for letting us do this
100%.
nonsense together.
Watching all of the children.
It used to
right?
already be an ask, but now that there's kids, it's more of an ask. So we appreciate you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And shout out to our wives. My wife doesn't really listen to the episodes, to the episodes, but
Well, my wife
Shout out to you,
does,
honey.
So
Does she ever
she
hear
does
it,
listen
though?
to the song, so I'm gonna have to give her a shout out in the song somehow.
Okay.
Shout out
Shout out
to
to
Taylor, my wife.
DJ Khaled.
Yeah. All right, let's
All
get
right,
into
let's
it.
do it.
And we're back. And James is in the hot seat.
Flawless transition there.
That's right. James, who do you have to talk to us about?
All right. Couple of preliminary remarks. We have, prior to this podcast, or during the earlier season, we did clarify that unsung hero is a broad word. It can be someone who certainly was a hero that was sung in his day. It also could be someone that many would know about, but maybe a general audience in the West may not know about. So I'm actually doing an emperor who in his time became a hero in a sense. So I'm doing Emperor Heraclius. So Emperor Heraclius is his name.
Roman.
It is very Roman because he was a Byzantine emperor from the 6th, 7th century. Okay.
Yes.
So this is what we're doing today. And the reason being, I'm a busy man. I happen to be teaching the history of Byzantium to my history class right now. And I went over his story again, which I love. And my students really enjoyed it. And I thought, this is a perfect person for the podcast. Also, when I started my master's, one thing that got me into archaeology was excavating in Central Asia. So we excavated there and we got to excavate a Christian cemetery there.
Wow.
And on their tombstones, they had this image of this relic of the true cross. It's like a cross that has this like pedestal. And this was an image representing that original relic that was fought over in this war we're going to talk about today. And I got interested in this topic.
When you say the true cross,
Right.
is that an official term or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
The relic of the true cross refers to the most holy relic of antiquity, pretty much. It's a portion of the cross of Christ that was kept, and much of it was kept in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in like the early church. So I'm going to kind of explain that background today. But they have images of this relic on these tombstones all the way in Central Asia. Cool story how that all happened. And I got into his story, learned about the story of Heraclius, fell in love with it. And then when I was in my master's, I was working at one of our museum collections and I was working with our coins, and we had a golden coin minted by Heraclius, which I'm talking about today.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And on the back of the coin is that same image of the true cross, which is going to come into the story later. So I've always loved this story.
I was about to say.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up.
Let's see, man.
What is this true cross?
Pull the picture.
Now
Again,
that we have producer Austin, we really got to use him.
Yes.
we really do.
He's got to earn his wages over there.
So if you are listening, it's just there actually are still. That's the coin right there. You
that's
can see.
the
look at
coin.
that.
So they're very similar style, and you'll see that commemorative coin that was minted in celebration of this event, this war we're talking about today. So I'm going to give you a background context to what's going on in the Eastern Roman Empire, what led to this conflict, and how Emperor Heraclius essentially saved Rome from the brink of utter destruction. It's kind of a crazy story, wild story. It's one of those, this should be a movie story, but it's not for some reason. So I thought we'd do Emperor Heraclius since the Byzantines are pretty underrated in the broader historical context, I think.
Yeah.
So. All right, jumping in. So Heraclius was born likely to an Armenian father, we think. And his father's name was, guess what?
Heraclius.
Yes, his father's name, Armenian. His father's name was Heraclius, and so we'll call him Heraclius the Elder. And he had been a general who'd served in the army of the Byzantine Empire. This is the Eastern Roman Empire in the late 500s. And Heraclius the Elder fights for the Emperor Maurice. Also important guy to know. So Emperor Maurice is the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. By all accounts, a pretty good emperor. Very effective militarily, good reformer. He also was very frugal with how he spent money, and he's very effective against the Byzantines, or against the Persians. So the Persian Empire is like the arch nemesis to the Byzantines. They're like always going at it, even way back in
Tales
earlier
all the
Rome.
time.
Always the classic story. You have Persians fighting against Romans. They're the back and forth teams here. So Emperor Maurice had fought against the Persians, and Heraclius the Elder, our hero's father, had done really well. And for his service, Emperor Maurice goes, all right, you get to be the exarch of Carthage or North Africa. You can become the governor of North Africa. It's yours now. So Heraclius goes from where he was and ends up in Carthage. And this is where our hero is born. So he lives pretty much most of his life in an aristocratic family, also in a very militarized family. So his cousin, his father, much of his family were military people in this time.
Can I just say, Heraclius, it hurts Heraclius.
Yes,
right?
Heraclius. Yeah.
It sounds super like emperorish,
Yes.
emperorish.
That's the term.
And
yes,
very like noble and cool. But Maurice sounds super chill.
You know?
Like Emperor Maurice.
Maurice, come on over here. What do you? Yeah, that's Maurice, definitely. Okay, and I'll tell you why this context is important in a minute. So Maurice is fighting against the Sassanid Persians. The Sassanid is the dynasty of Persia at the time, and basically he's done a lot to effectively neutralize the Persians, and he actually stabilizes the eastern frontier, and in like 582 to 591 wins this major battle and actually helps the Persian king Khosrow II during a civil war in Persia. So Khosrow II is kind of our main antagonist for the story. So remember Khosrow. Khosrow's our guy, but Maurice helps Khosrow.
I'm pretty sure it would be pronounced Khosrow.
Actually, you're great. You know.
Wait, where's this knowledge come from? Anyway,
You don't have to worry about that.
back to James.
Long story. Anyway, so Khosrow is basically backed by Maurice and this military coup. He takes over the Sassanid government, and crazy enough, Maurice and Khosrow become friends, like really good friends.
So wait, like Khosrow, the
Persian guy who takes power after this conflict.
they become friends.
They do.
Right.
They're buddy. And this has like never happened before.
Yeah.
And they secure this really favorable alliance toward Byzantium. And Maurice is able to secure a bunch of land in Armenia and Mesopotamia, which has always been kind of fought over between Rome and Persia constantly. That border is always shifting. So the Armenian state, Mesopotamia, is given to Maurice because Maurice helps back Khosrow to become the new Shah. That's the Emperor Shah of Persia. So Khosrow is the new Shah. Maurice and him are actually great buddies. And they're like, hey, let's keep the peace. This is good. We're all happy. And so because he finally secures...
You love an emperor that just like keeps peace with the other nations, you know?
It's amazing.
Good time.
Pax Byzantium.
Yes. So this is...
Pax Romana V2.
Yeah. So Khosrow and him are buddies. They keep things stable. And then also Maurice wins some major victories against the Slavs and the Avars. So the Slavs are like
Slavs.
this, these nascent peoples. This is kind of prior to the Rus becoming a major player amongst the Slavs. But the Slavs are always this kind of, tribal hinterland enemy of the Byzantines on their border. So the Slavs have been pacified by Maurice on his western front. In the east, the Persians are done. And Maurice is also very frugal. So he secured a pretty good situation for himself and his empire. He also writes this book called the Strategicon, and it's a whole book of military tactics. It's like a really famous one. You can still read it today, actually, if you're interested in learning about military tactics. I guess you could go read Maurice's book.
Affiliate link down, down the post.
That'd be great.
Show notes.
We don't have affiliate links, unfortunately.
So James, what is this? You're saying 500s AD? Is this
late 500s? Yes.
The Western Roman Empire? Is it out of the
Western Empire is pretty much gone. This is also after Emperor Justinian, who in the east had conquered a lot of the West back. So at this point, they actually still have a big chunk of Italy. They have North Africa, and part of Spain has been reconquered by the east again.
Is there any way we can pull up a map of the...
Yes, actually. I sent it to Austin. So I sent Austin 3 screenshots. And
Wow.
we'll add these to the show. Okay. And again, if you're listening, I apologize, but I'll subscribe it for you.
If you're watching on the video version, you're seeing it right now.
Yes.
Imagine what James's description is going to look like. Imagine mountains.
Animated in.
Cartography.
So
imagine a land.
I'm gonna show you a map of the Byzantine Empire, like before everything falls apart here in a minute. And it's going to show you the lands that Maurice had acquired and maintained when something terrible happens. And then I'll show you later a map of what happens afterwards. So if you guys can see, Austin, go ahead and show us over there the map. That is, the purple is the Byzantine Empire around the Mediterranean at this point. So notice they're not what they once were in the pre-East-West divide days at the height of their power.
That's still way bigger than
But that is after Justinian's reconquest. And actually last season I had an episode on Belisarius, who was Justinian's general who helped conquer a lot of those lands back. Remember that?
Okay.
So we're calling back.
Belisarius.
This is like 100 years after Belisarius in that story. So the empire still maintained a lot of its land. And now look at that new land, the kind of light purple there, some of the other areas that Maurice has secured in the east. So it's
light
pretty...
purple, is that the Persian Empire? Or is that
not necessarily. Those are actually allies of theirs in Arabia. So at the time there were some Christian Arabian tribes that had allies as kind of proxies. So that's Byzantium at the end of Maurice's life. But here's the problem. Like I mentioned before, Maurice was kind of a spendthrift. He didn't like to spend too much money. And he broke the one rule emperor should never break, which is, what do you guys think?
I don't know. I've never
spend
been.
money.
Don't spend money.
No. Wait. The rule.
He had too many heirs.
That's a good one, but
That's a good rule.
That is.
That's a good rule. Yeah.
No, he basically cut the soldiers' pay. So
never.
his
No, don't do
soldiers who
that.
had just won a major victory against the Slavs, they want to go home. It's like winter's setting in. The soldiers are like, please, let's go home and celebrate. And Maurice is like, it's going to cost way too much money to take all these guys in and field them and house them for the moment. So we're actually going to keep your pay at what it was. It's pretty low at this point relative to other emperors, and you're not going to get to come home for the winter after this great victory you fought against the Slavs.
Did he learn nothing from was it the year of the Four Caesars or whatever?
There's so many examples of this. This is why I say it's almost a rule at this point.
It was hard to be a veteran even back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Maurice basically tells them, yeah, good luck, suck it up, enjoy the winter over there. And this was not a good thing to do because this really angered a couple of people in the army, particularly a guy named Phocas. It's Phokas is his name. So we'll say Focus, like you're focusing, okay? Phocas is a centurion, kind of a low-ranking officer who's very upset about this and supposedly at the time somewhat charismatic. He is lauded by the troops in this region as kind of a counter-rebellion emperor who basically declares war against Maurice and revolts against him. So he takes the army under his command, marches then forcibly to Constantinople, and then he has Maurice. Well, first he takes his sons and beheads them brutally in front of Maurice, and then he kills Maurice. So Phocas, not a good guy, okay, as you can tell.
Focus.
Nasty person.
Do you think his parents they named him something else and then they kept telling him to focus? And so then
I knew you would be the one to make this joke, Johnny. Focus.
Somebody has to say it. His name is Focus.
It has to. Oh man, this sort
Or
of.
do you think this is just James subtly telling us to focus on the story?
No, I think it's just the name of a man.
His name was Focus. No, his name was John. Sorry, I'm just trying to just focus though. No, so as you guys can tell, Focus is going to be one of our villains in the story. Focus brutally murders Maurice and his family, takes power in Constantinople. Now remember, back to the context of our story at the beginning, Maurice was good friends with whom?
The Persian guy.
Khosrow and Heraclius the Elder, Heraclius' father.
Yes.
So Khosrow finds out that Maurice has been executed and he's furious.
Khosrow is the Persian
Shah. And he's like, hey, you guys can't murder the rightful emperor. He's also kind of my buddy. And this is a great pretext for war. But anyway, you better put the guy in charge who is one of his sons, or I'm going to declare war on you. And Phocas says, get out. No. Too bad. And so Khosrow uses this opportunity to declare war against the Byzantines and starts to utterly destroy their territories and invades, and the Byzantines get their butts kicked. Okay, it gets really bad for them. So over the next several years, Phocas, after taking power, plunges the empire into crisis. He's a terrible ruler, extraordinarily uncharismatic, treats people brutally who defy him, and everything goes awfully for the next several years in Byzantium.
Can you remind me what his position was in the military again?
I think he was a centurion initially.
Okay, centurion.
But
so
then
he goes from centurion to
taking power.
Power.
He does. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so the Byzantines have horrendous loss. In 602, the Persians start taking a ton of land. So now we're in the early 7th century. They take a lot of Mesopotamia. They take the Caucasus, that's Armenia, that whole region. They take Syria. All these major land holdings of Byzantium start getting sacked and pillaged and destroyed. Very wealthy regions as well. So Khosrow is raking in the money, and he's using this as a perfect pretext, right? You're illegitimate ruler. Maurice is my friend. I'm simply liberating the Byzantines or, enacting justice. Okay, it's a classic.
I'm simply enacting justice.
Yeah. Pretty much. So Heraclius' father hears about this, and of course they're far away and pretty safe. But Heraclius the Elder immediately renounces Phocas and denounces him. He's like, you're an illegitimate ruler. So Heraclius' family starts gearing up to actually respond to this, because he's probably the only one who can. And so Heraclius the Younger, our hero of the story, Heraclius' cousin, with his father's military, starts taking Egypt away from Phocas and taking that territory, while Heraclius himself basically thinks, okay, I'm going to be the hero here. I think God is calling me to come and take back the city and be the hero of the empire.
This is Heraclius the Elder, or
this
younger?
is the younger now, because he's of age now, and he's going to be the guy, kind of top dog here.
How old would he be?
I don't know the exact date. I'll have to look it up. Austin, find out how old Heraclius was in the year 60. 8 or 9, around that time. Find
Bro,
out.
I love having producer.
I know,
know.
it's so
This
nice.
is- this is
Why did we do this
great.
last time?
Okay, so Heraclius
And
again.
you can say it in the mic, Austin.
He was 33 years old in the year 608 AD.
Okay, perfect. So he's in his 30s at this point.
Okay.
All right.
33, huh?
So Heraclius then gets all his men. He sails to Constantinople via Sicily, and on the front of his prow, he puts an icon of Christ. This for him is like a mission ordained by God. And he goes expecting to be fighting. He's like, I'm going to fight for the city. But Phocas had done such a terrible job that literally his own son-in-law, who's the head of the guard of the city, just turns him in and lets Heraclius walk right into the city on his ship. And he's like, here's Phocas, and ties him up and gives him to Heraclius.
LOL.
So we have some fun details here that we think is probably what happened. Phocas is brought before Heraclius and just like sneers at him and, you know, is totally unapologetic. And Heraclius, seeing how terrible the condition of the city is, goes, "Is this how you've ruled, wretch?" That's a quote of what he supposedly said. And Phocas responds, "And you'll rule better." Like, actually, he's like in custody and he still wants to sneer at Heraclius. Like, and you're going to do it better. So literally,
Dude, that sounds like it has to be lyrics in the song. Or
oh, I
something.
think
Yeah.
so. I think
You
so.
guys should
Yeah.
Is
put
this
that
how
in.
you rule, wretch?
Like a little rap battle
that
or
needs
something.
to be a rap or something. I don't know.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Your kids will be saying that one.
That's wild.
They better not start coming up to me and be.
Your third first word
Is that
will
how
be
you
wretch.
rule, wretch?
Yes.
Yeah, but then you know what to say to them.
And
And
you-
you'll rule better?
Well, maybe hold off on this because what Heraclius does next
Uh-oh.
may give you pause.
What he does
then
next will shock
immediately,
you.
enraged at his words, takes out his sword and executes him on the spot. Like he's so angry at him saying that he just chops his head off right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not
We
influence
don't
our
condone
kids
that.
too much on that
Yeah,
one.
kids don't say those words.
Now the funny thing is, I thought about that meme from like the Homelander where he does something terrible and looks around, the whole audience is like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
all
yeah.
clapping,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Heraclius chops Phocas' head off, and the people are like,
All of Constantinople.
nice, yeah. And he's
new emperor.
looking around. The people realize, okay, he's the new emperor. And here's a new character for our story. This is a guy named Patriarch Sergius. So Sergius was the bishop of Constantinople. He's called a patriarch. They're like the kind of, it's analogous to the Pope in Rome. He's the head bishop of the church in the East. Okay, so Sergius is a major player here. Really cool guy. I thought about making the episode about him because he is kind of a hero here in the story. But Sergius,
At this point,
yes.
though, the Pope in Rome would have also been the Pope of this.
Well, yeah, this was before the Great Schism.
Yeah,
so the
that's what I
East and
mean.
West were still in communion, but the Pope would not have had jurisdiction over the East. It was still separate, individual, right?
gotcha.
So that happens much later. But at this point, he's kind of the top church official, Sergius. So Sergius comes, and his role was often to crown the new emperor. So he takes him to the palace and crowns him. He's like, all right, you're now the emperor. Here you go. Now let's see what you can do with things. So Heraclius becomes the new emperor, and he's ordained, or he's crowned as king, as emperor, and he gets control of the army. And he's like, "All right, it's time. I'm here. I'm the hero of the story. Let's fix this whole issue." So he gets his army and he marches to Antioch. Now, if you guys know about Antioch, very famous city, it was one of the wealthiest and most populated cities of the late Roman Empire, even in the East at this point. It's a very wealthy city, and it's a huge, major strategic point for the Byzantines. And Khosrow is marching his army there, and the first major conflict is when Heraclius brings all of his troops there. The whole army is ready to go, and he fights for the first time against Khosrow, and he gets destroyed.
Oh.
Totally loses badly.
Wait. Khosrow was friends with Maurice,
Yes.
who was friends with Heraclius the Elder.
Yes.
But is Khosrow like, now Heraclius the Younger is my enemy anyway? I don't care about that friendship?
Yeah, and there's no connection with Heraclius to the royal family, at least by blood. And by this point, Khosrow's raking in the dough. There's no pretext to this being an honorable take back at this point. He's conquering Byzantium. So
Go
again,
get yours, Khosrow. That's all I got to say. Man. Get yours.
You're
man.
rooting for the enemy of our hero right now.
our next episode, Daniel's like, my unsung hero is Khosrow.
It's a sonnets now.
Anyway, okay, so for the following decade, things just got worse after this. So they lose Anatolia. That's like a bunch of Turkey, modern day Turkey, because of Khosrow. Also,
Is that where you're from, Daniel?
No, but my mom actually lives on Antalya now, which is
nearby, very nearby, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys remember from before, I talked about the Slavs and the Avars who Maurice had been fighting. They'd been pacified, but when they found out that Heraclius lost his army against Khosrow. They found out Khosrow was invading. They're like, well, let's get back to it, boys. So, let's get back to it, boys. And they go in and they start totally destroying the northern frontier now. So
They put on their Adidas tracksuits, roll around.
Start squatting
all right.
everywhere.
So not only are they being destroyed from the eastern front, now their western front's collapsing, and things get really bad. So Austin, pull up that second screenshot I showed you. I'm showing right now a map of the empire after things got really bad. So in 622, notice the white that's cut all the way up to the capital. They have no more holdings there. All of Spain also revolted and kicked out the Byzantines pretty much. And then all of Egypt is eventually taken by Khosrow, which again, very wealthy part of the empire. All of Palestine is taken. It gets really bad. So Khosrow, with the help of several Jews who are not fans of the Byzantines for understandable reasons, he takes Damascus, and then in 614, a really big tragedy happens, at least for morale. He goes to Jerusalem. Now, again, by this point in the Byzantine world, Khosrow, when he's still destroying everything, and Heraclius has nothing left to use against him. So Khosrow goes to Jerusalem, and from the days of Constantine, this had been an extraordinarily holy site for Christianity, obviously. On the site where they believe they found Christ's tomb back in the 300s, Constantine had built this very famous church called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It was right there in the old Hadrianic Roman city. And
is that the one you said where the piece of the cross was or whatever?
Right. So there, housed at there, is of course the tomb of Christ. Also, right across from it, where they say the spot is where St. Helena found a relic of the true cross, was a reliquary that held a portion of the true cross, this wooden cross that Christ was supposedly crucified on, according to the legend of St. Helena, where they found it. So that's the most holy relic, pretty much, of Christendom at the time. And Khosrow goes in, he burns Jerusalem down, and he loots a bunch of stuff. And then, just to rub it in the Byzantines' faces, he steals the relic of the true cross, takes it out, and takes it with him.
Wow.
Now, again, as moderns, we often have trouble relating to this kind of thing, but this was like really bad for morale.
it's a big
When were the four Crusades?
This is later. So the Crusades, so funny enough, the Crusades are enacted in part to retake Jerusalem from the Muslims who come pretty soon after this, actually.
Okay.
And that also is partially about getting the Holy Sepulchre liberated. For
do you know when the first one was, or Austin can look it up, when the first Crusade?
That's the 10th, 11th century.
Oh, so it's much later.
later.
Yeah, because at this point, and he just said this was 614. I'm pretty sure, is Muhammad alive?
Is
at
this
point?
Stay tuned. Okay, almost. Okay, all right. Okay, so Persians come in, take Damascus, they take Egypt, take the True Cross. A ton of the wealthiest territories of Byzantium have been taken totally by the Sassanids. So eventually they reach Chalcedon, much closer to the city of Byzantium itself, and Heraclius has given up. He's pretty much okay, we're done. We're totally done. So he sends Khosrow a letter, and he's like, I know that you are my superior. I'm your obedient son. I'm ready to surrender to you.
Sound like a hero to me, James. What is going on?
And then he says, look, he's like, you're the supreme emperor. We have nothing else. You will destroy us all. Please save the people. Maybe let us be a vassal state, and we'll pay you money, and then you don't have to destroy us, and my people can survive. He's basically trying to bargain to let people not get destroyed and murdered and slaughtered. He wants to bargain with them.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
The year the Ottomans took over Constantinople, puts in perspective, because 600 to 1453 is a long time.
Yeah, so you're gonna just wait and see. We're at the low. This is the arc of a plot for a story. This is the low.
This
point.
is the low point. This is the end of the second.
This is
act.
right before the electric guitar solo starts building. We're right there now. Okay, that's pretty much where things have gotten to. So okay, back where we are. Khosrow takes this letter from Heraclius and rips it up. He's like, too bad. I reject your offer for surrender, and I'm going to keep plundering your empire. So Khosrow then marches to Constantinople. This is the center of the empire. It is a very defensible city, but this is where everything lies. So Heraclius is basically like, all right, I give up. So he starts loading his ships in the harbor to go flee back to Carthage and say, maybe I can start resistance over in Carthage. We still have land there. That's where my father's holdings are. I'm going to go back home.
Wow.
So he's loading the boats, about to leave. And then enter Sergius.
Sergius
Just made the loudest gulp I've ever heard.
It was a gulp-worthy moment.
We should enhance that in the audio. So
I don't know how to do that.
The Archbishop of Constantine.
Or
Patriarch.
Constantinople. Yeah, Patriarch.
Oh,
So
Constantinople was.
So remember him. He had been
Sergius.
Sergius.
I want to say Sergio.
That's
like
So Sergius comes to Heraclius and sees what he's doing, and Sergius basically gives Heraclius probably the most epic like pep talk sermon probably ever. We don't know exactly what he said.
Lyrics incoming.
But he basically takes Heraclius to the Hagia Sophia. This is the holiest, biggest church in Christendom at the
Church of
time.
Holy Wisdom.
He goes in there and he says, listen, like, this is God's city. God will not abandon you here. I want you right now to pledge to God that you will never stop fighting to the day you die to defend this city. He's basically like giving a pep talk. You cannot give up. You have to fight. And he kind of says like, here, this is God's will for you. You cannot give up until God's done with you. And then he says, look, the church of the Holy Sepulchre obviously had tons of wealth because of all the gold. All the walls were embedded in gold mosaic. Every beautiful relic in the entire empire was brought here. It was covered in gold, gold vessels, gold candles. Everything you can imagine was just stored in this church. Sergius goes, look, I'm going to offer you the entire church's wealth. Just take it, melt it down.
Wow.
We'll get it back later. Just pay us back later. Okay, we'll figure it out. We're going to melt everything down for the war effort. And
You said this is the Hagia Sophia, or
yes,
the,
and then the whole church in general in the city.
Dang.
Brought
It's
the
like
city.
the seat of Christendom, and he's
I thought you were
just
talking about the Church of the Holy
I think you
Sepulchre.
mentioned
No,
that-
sorry, that's
yeah.
Hagia Sophia. We're talking about the
Okay.
Hagia Sophia, which is the biggest church in Constantinople.
that's
It's the main
crazy.
church. Okay, so
wow.
anyway, Heraclius is given this pep talk, and he's like, "Fine, let's do it." And he gets all the people involved. And at this point, something seems to switch in Heraclius because he goes from utterly defeated to gaining this really new burning resolve. And it's almost like everything aligns and just starts working for Heraclius. So everybody gets involved. The whole city's like burning down all the melting down all the metal they have. They're getting everything they can, giving it to the army. He starts to train troops, tries to get anything he possibly can to get some legion together. And he manages to get one legion, which Austin looked this up by the late Byzantine period. In the Roman period, it's like 6,000 or 7,000 troops. This is probably similar to that number. Okay, so he's at the,
Austin, do you know what to look up here?
yeah, look up the number of soldiers in a Byzantine legion in like the 6th century or
I
something.
love that you
find
can
it.
look
Yeah.
that up.
Casually, you say
Hey,
it.
and no AI overview.
No
No AI
No
overview.
AI overview.
It doesn't count if you get
Find
it on
the
a
manuscript, Sauce.
Don't give in to
The
the
original
clankers.
source. Man, can you believe we can
Read
even
it.
look
Read
that
it
up?
in
I know, that's
what?
amazing.
Wait, what is it in Latin? Read it in Latin.
Hey, more Greek
Is
by
it
this
Greek
point.
by that point?
Latin was
Yeah.
phasing out in the
Okay,
aristocracy.
that would be a great tribute.
Greek
Yeah.
Orthodox.
All right, Austin.
Okay, so later in the Byzantine Empire, and by the 6th century, the Roman legion no longer existed. Instead, the army used smaller, more flexible units, they called the numerus, typically between 300 and 400 soldiers.
Okay, so probably however many numeri would add up to about a legion. I think it's kind of what we're looking at here.
That
So-
sounded like an AI overview, Austin. It sounded
That's the Austin overview.
Austin overview.
Austin
Okay.
I love it. Okay, so this war takes on a new tone for him. It almost becomes a holy war. Like for him, it's like this is God now on my side, and if he's
OG
with
Crusades.
me, this is God's city, right? So he's gonna go and try to get things back together. So he assembles this army, trains them, and apparently he also starts reading Maurice's Strategicon, this book that Emperor Maurice had written about how to fight.
Who
You know,
wasn't that strategic? Really.
Well,
not paying your.
he didn't pay the
ROI.
troops, but
No, well, his strategy was make friends with the enemy.
yes,
Right?
Yes,
So you don't have to pay your army.
That's right.
Right? So you don't have to pay your army.
Um,
Save money on your military by making friends with
yeah,
your enemies.
exactly.
Troops hate this one trick to
There's
save
lots of strategy there.
save money.
Oh my gosh. So in 622, this is when things start. April 622. He then goes to try to change. His strategy had before been like, let's cower down and hunker down in fear. He's like, we're taking it to them. We're going offensive here. So he goes to Armenia, and he can't lose at this point, because if he loses, he has no reinforcements. It's not like before where you had different armies and units you could use. He goes into war, and he just starts not losing. So he takes Armenia. That was also in the Strategicon. It just said, just don't lose.
Just don't lose.
Just don't lose.
Why did no one open up that page before?
Why didn't we think of
Maurice's
this
advice.
before?
Just don't lose, bro.
Okay, so he's fighting and he starts winning and has these shocking major victories in Armenia. But of course, the Slavs, our friends the Slavs who've been
yes.
marauding in the north, they're like, so Heraclius has an army. He's managed to piece it together, but he just took all of them to Armenia, which is in
Ross
the
Asia
opposite
Minor.
direction. So he's like, the Slavs and Avars being helped by Khosrow. Khosrow pays them some money to help him out. And they're like, let's go invade
Which is the classic
Constantinople.
Persian way. Back into
Mhm.
like the Peloponnesian times, they always would pay different Greek city-states to fight each other because they thought, why are we paying our troops to fight? Why not just pay them to fight each other? So.
Classic way. So that's what Khosrow does.
Thousands
He
of
pays
years.
off the Slavs, and they start literally sieging the city. So remember, all that's left in the city is like a couple, not much. There's not many people there. They have your city guard, your royal guard, and you maybe have a couple of
But are the
units of
famous
man.
walls of Constantinople already up by
Yes,
this
the
point?
Theodosian walls are there and strong. This
There
city
they
was
are.
extraordinarily defendable. I mean, it has the great chain across the Golden Horn. You have totally surrounded peninsula by these great thick walls. You still see them today in Istanbul. If you want to show that graphic there on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel?
I
Resident
still
Turk?
see them in Istanbul to this day.
Indeed. All right. Yeah, I love that you're from the city we're talking about right now. This is great.
great.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Wait, Istanbul is Constantinople?
Hey, I got a song idea for you.
Okay, so Heraclius has a decision to make because he hears obviously that this is happening. And the choice is, okay, I've made a lot of wins here. Maybe I can head back and I can shore up the city and defend against the Slavs. But in doing so, I basically give up all my gains here and I cede this region once again to Khosrow. This would probably end his chances at really ending this long term. But if he continues the campaign and he loses the city, that also means it's
Right.
over. Okay, so
GG.
he apparently he stands up all night in vigil. He's praying. He's considering all these options, and he decides to keep fighting and to go deeper. And he trusts that if Constantinople is
Wow.
God's city, he will protect it. That's kind of his logic here.
Wow.
And so, funny enough, the defenders of Constantinople somehow get their gusto together, and they literally defend wave after wave after wave for weeks against
Wow.
the siege.
Well, it's
And
like you're saying, it was a very defendable city,
It is.
right?
It
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming
supposedly,
the Slavs don't have a ton of siege equipment, right?
I'm not sure exactly. I'm maybe not, but they were helped by the
Austin,
Persians.
can
But
you-
who knows? Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Austin,
Tell
look
us
it up.
about the siege equipment of the
Look at the
Slavs.
siege equipment of the Slavs in the 600s.
I want a video, please.
622.
They have ladas and they have their.
It doesn't matter. Austin, I don't know if you can find it.
If you do
Okay,
find something,
whatever.
let us know. Probably not. Anyway.
But every night in the city walls, as they were staying up defending the walls, Sergius would process around the city walls holding an icon of Mary. And this became kind of like a legendary, like unifying force. And it really boosted morale. So much so that eventually they win. And they kick the Slavs and Avars and their supported Persian allies out. And the people are so elated. They create this whole new, like this whole hymn that's still sung today in Eastern churches and around the world, honoring the Theotokos, Mary, for her intercession for her saving the city. It's a huge event, right? This is a big deal for the Byzantines. And
I was
they're
gonna
like,
say, if it mentions
Yeah.
Heraclius, then we can't do an Unsung Heroes about it. 'cause he's
Yeah.
yeah, I
sung,
know, right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah.
We're not doing
But
Unsung
again,
Heroes
we're-
about Mary.
That's right. Yeah, probably one of the least.
Or
a lot of
Serge.
songs.
Probably the
Or
most sung.
Sergio.
Or Sergio.
He's right in there.
Maybe we could do Sergio.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
No, Sergius.
Sergius. Okay.
I think we're just calling him Sergio now. Anyway, so this is why Patriarch Sergius is such a big deal in the story, because he basically
sense.
helps shore up the people, leads the city in Heraclius' absence, and they end up winning. Okay. So this is really fortunate for Heraclius, because then he's able to start launching his counteroffensive, and he keeps up the fight. And he ends up at one point, this is a really big turning moment. He intercepts a Persian messenger, because at this point, Khosrow II is pretty upset with his generals and his main general particularly, because he's starting to lose all these battles. Things are turning against him. He's getting really frustrated, and so he sends a message that's basically like a "you're fired" letter, essentially. Right? It's like, all right, you're fired and out of here. And he sends the message, and one of Heraclius's men intercepts the letter and gets the messenger, and they read it. And instead of Heraclius, like, ripping it up or sending it back or just continuing to send it on, he takes the letter and adds a bunch of names to it of almost every single officer he can think of in the Persian army. And then secretly wraps it up, sends it back to him.
Genius.
And so when he gets the letter, all of the officers in the Persian army are like,
We're all fired.
what? And they're really pissed for obvious reasons. They're very upset with all of this.
That's
How do
next
you come
level.
up
Yeah.
with that?
This is
He
why-
read the Strategicon. That's
Strategicon, man.
I was, I was
too.
in the Strategicon. Dude, this is why end-to-end encryption is so important. Okay.
This episode is sponsored by WhatsApp.
Sponsored by Surfshark VPN. No, I'm just kidding.
So again, brilliant move on Heraclius' end. He ends up getting this is totally
So
disrupts
that
the Persian
works.
forces.
They
It does.
literally,
So-
they all think they're fired and they go home.
And a
Like,
bunch
don't
of them
they
go
see that
they mutiny because they're angry. It's not so much that they're like, oh, I guess I'm
Oh.
fired. They mutiny against Khosrow because of how
They don't just pack up
frustrated
and
they
Pick
go
up their
home,
unemployment checks.
I don't know. That's what I would do if I got fired.
Well, my question is, isn't the handwriting different of the names? Like, you're
Well,
fired, and then
These things were
also-
usually read out loud by a courier. Maybe they had
Yeah,
someone
that
slip
makes
in. Maybe
sense,
I'm not sure how they
And
did
the
it
courier
exactly.
good
wasn't allowed
theory.
to add by the way, the handwriting on this doesn't match.
And then changes his tone.
Yeah.
Says the names.
This next part is in all caps. I don't know why.
This next part's in Greek. I don't know why.
I also fire the loser John II and his useless regiment. It's like, whoa, dude, it's a little intense. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay, so this is all happening. Heraclius is winning and winning and winning. One thing about Heraclius also is interesting. Happens very rarely, but Heraclius actually charged into battle himself, like in the front lines. He was one of those guys.
Alexander style.
Alexander style, very rare. And it's understandable. You want to have your tactician kind of above everything. But Heraclius actually got into the fight himself and would lead the battle sometimes from horseback. And this, of course, was a big morale booster. It's a risk because if you die, your whole army's done. But because he did this and he won, his men loved him for it. So he continues to win these battles. And then the big one happens, the big showdown. This is in 627. He launches this winter offensive into Mesopotamia, and he decides to take the battle right to him in Mesopotamia. He goes in there.
This is insane that he's they're almost having to defend Constantinople all the way to now he's going.
He's attacking.
Yes, he's literally doing the opposite.
This far
So he's
into
in
their territory.
Persia, right?
Or getting close. That Nineveh, where he goes to actually the ruins of Nineveh, which at that time was also a ruin. That's how old that city is, right? Wow. So he goes to Nineveh, the ruins, and he meets Khosrow's major army under his general, who's this guy named Johnny, help me out here. Razda?
Sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, something like, all right.
Razda.
It's Razda.
There you go.
Anyway, now there is a little subscript here. This is a legendary story, this one section I'm about to tell you, but it's not too late after the fact. So I'm going to say for our podcast, it's a real story. This is what the chroniclers say happened. In this major battle, Heraclius baits the troops into chasing them down, and then he turns about face, classic bait and switch move. And in the middle of battle, the general of the Persian army calls out to Heraclius to fight him one-on-one. And Heraclius says yes. And so in the heat of the battle, they face off 1v1, and in one blow, Heraclius cuts the guy down, and then in anger, two of his men come to rush at him as well, and he kills both of those guys as well
my goodness.
in the battle. Now, this is possibly a later, change of the
Addition
story.
by his chronicler.
It's very
From
movie-esque.
later.
It's almost too
I
good
was
to be
going to
true.
say, I
right?
imagine Russell Crowe in this.
This is definitely
Are you
Russell
not
Crowe.
entertained?
Exactly.
But 1, but 2, and 3. Are you not? Yeah. So I did put a little according to legend, but this was a legend written maybe 100 years after the account versus some we have that are more contemporaneous. So I'm willing to say maybe that didn't happen exactly that way, but we do know that he miraculously wins this battle. Huge defeat of the Persians.
For the purposes of this podcast, let's just say
It happens.
did it.
In the song, it's going to be there. Okay,
In the
this
song.
is good.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so he wins the battle, and of course, at this point, he continues down the Tigris, and he sacks the great palace of Khosrow at some major city there. He also burns down one of the biggest fire temples of the Persians. If you didn't know, the Persians practiced a religion called Zoroastrianism at this time, and they had these fire temples, basically. That's kind of where they worshipped Ahura Mazda. He gets one of the holiest sites of the Persians and destroys it in revenge for destroying the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, right? So it's kind of like we're doing it to you now. Big morale boost for the men. He keeps going down all the way down Mesopotamia into Persia, and he's very close to Ctesiphon. Now, Ctesiphon is the capital. Seleucia Ctesiphon is the capital of the Persians at this point, and he's right outside of there. And unfortunately for him, Khosrow had the bridges removed, so he can't get into the city itself. But after this whole thing, Khosrow's been humiliated. Like, he's gone crazy, he's paranoid, he's raging at the mouth, I'm sure, and all of his courtiers and servants, and he's mad. Yeah, everybody is pretty much done with Khosrow.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, dude.
So eventually, he is overthrown by his own court. His son, actually.
Man, these sons are
Kavad-
giving up their dads left and right.
Yeah, Kavad II goes to Khosrow and says, "We're done," and he executes his own father.
Wow.
And that's the end of Khosrow after this.
Wow.
Man, ancient
Was it-
people.
What a tough way to go.
Daniel, weren't you the one on Khosrow's side in this?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Don't
do the
fact check that. Banner comes up. Daniel did in fact support.
No. We just cut. Hey, you're the one editing this later.
Hey, yes. I'm going to go back and say
He has all
Khosrow
the
sucks.
You hear this interpolation that's like, I definitely am going to not do Khosrow.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Anyway, so this basically, they negotiate a peace treaty with Heraclius. In return for leaving the city and leaving them to their own devices, he gets the true cross back. and he takes it triumphantly back to Constantinople.
Hopefully it's the same one.
There's some debate about
Awesome.
this. Some people
Fun to
think
say.
maybe it was, but for all intents and purposes, he gets
Sure.
it back. Okay, he brings it to the city, and the people are elated. They're praising his name across the city. They're so excited. He brings it to the Hagia Sophia, puts it up there, and it's like one of the greatest victories of all time for the Byzantines.
Wait. Was this in the Hagia Sophia or the Church of the Holy Sepulchre?
Good question. He first brings it to the Hagia Sophia, and then later on, he, in a very elaborate ceremony, brings it back to the Holy Sepulchre and does return it there.
In Jerusalem.
Yes.
That's in Jerusalem.
Yes, in Jerusalem. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a long way away.
Fun fact, that I think that relic still exists in the Vatican today. Austin.
interesting.
Look that up for me. I'm pretty sure where they have the little pedestal
that would
with
be
the.
cool.
I'm pretty sure at least a relic of the True Cross.
Wow.
I think has an old history to it.
Yeah.
It's still in the Vatican.
I
Today.
got
yeah.
to visit the Vatican like 6 years ago, I guess maybe 7 years ago, and
So when we
Now
did
it's
the
a-
last season of the
yeah,
podcast?
basically last season
Oh, nice.
around that time. And it's a shame because I keep learning about these things that are in the Vatican, and I'm
I know.
like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
Me
don't
too.
know.
I was there in 21 and I didn't know about
right.
this.
I wouldn't have known about
Yeah.
any of
Yeah.
it, so
Yeah.
Darn.
got to go visit again, I guess.
So anyway, Khosrow's executed. Actually, unfortunately for Persia, after Khosrow's executed, the whole empire plunges into civil war for the Sassanids. So it gets worse for them. They keep falling into civil war, anarchy, things get really bad. And on the other hand, Heraclius has literally restored the empire. So Austin, for our last screenshot, if you wouldn't mind pulling up that third picture. I'm going to show you a picture of the empire after Heraclius, a mere decade later. And he's restored all of their holdings.
Look
now,
at that.
That's the same as picture one.
yeah,
Well,
now-
it's even
It's the
better,
same
isn't
picture.
They
it?
did lose most of Spain.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh,
So
that's
Spain, they still lost, and I don't think they ever regained Spain again. 'cause this
Didn't they
was,
get more of Northern Africa, it looks like?
a
I don't
little
know.
bit, perhaps? Well, they got it back at least, and then
Yeah.
of course they take back Egypt and they return all their lands as they once had been. So basically, Heraclius' negotiation is to get all the lands back from Khosrow that he'd taken. That was their negotiation, and that's what
That doesn't
Okay,
sound
so
like
it's a
much of a
lot.
negotiation. It's like,
Well,
you give me everything.
and you
I
get
give
nothing.
you
You get
nothing.
I give you nothing.
It's in that book, the strategy
Yeah,
book.
the strategy.
Yeah, so it's like almost the same, just with a lot less in Europe.
Oh,
So-
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
side by side here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you,
Oh,
Austin.
thank
Yeah.
you, Austin.
Very good.
Wow.
So that's what happens. Now, the question is, okay, why isn't Heraclius known as much as like any of the other famous Roman generals? Like we all know Julius Caesar. We all know Scipio Africanus. We all know Augustus. We know
Yeah, we
all
all
these great-
know
No.
those guys.
Yeah, we know all
Definitely
these
know
guys.
them.
So most people are aware of these names, Alexander the Great. And Heraclius' story is such that he would certainly be one you'd think you'd know.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with Heraclius. He
a
lives long
problem.
enough to what's that Spider-Man?
Yeah.
You either die a hero or you live long
long
enough
enough to see yourself become the villain.
to
That's
see yourself
That's
become
the Dark
villain.
Knight, James.
That's
That is
That's
the
you're
Dark
right.
Knight.
That's the Dark Knight. Sorry, my bad. What would the Spider-Man one be? What was I thinking of?
You know, I'm
great
something
power
of a
comes
scientist
Peter,
myself.
you know.
I'm something of an emperor myself.
Okay, so how does he see himself become the villain, James?
Well, again, as a preamble to this podcast, I did want to mention he's not a perfect man. Heraclius definitely had some moral failings, and he definitely had his issues. He got quite
Don't we
paranoid.
all?
He got quite paranoid at the end of his life, and he never managed to effectively bring back to the church the Monophysites. Very complicated discussion, but there was a big church schism in Egypt where a lot of Egyptian Christians, today we call them Coptics, had split off from the
That's when that
Christians.
started. Oh.
And this was a major theological issue that had been playing on for 100 years before this, up until his day. And they had taken Khosrow's victories as like a, hey, haha, see, this means God's not on your side. And then Heraclius won, and he was like, ha ha ha, Anyway, long story short, he never managed to really fix this issue.
Wait,
And he also lived into the era of a new religion that you may have heard of before.
Yes.
This is when Islam enters the
that's
scene.
what I was going to say, because I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about the late 500s, early 600s. That's when Muhammad was.
Starting to come
And
out.
this is
Why?
really
Right.
key. Most historians will tell you one of the reasons Islam was so successful at taking so much territory and conquering so many peoples and empires is because of this war with Heraclius and the Persians. Because Heraclius was depleted after this war. I mean, he won, but after being looted and sacked and destroyed by the Persians for a decade, the Persians had also been looted, sacked, and destroyed by Heraclius. And also Persia had plunged into civil war. So this is all happening right when the Arab invasions began with Islam. It's like this perfect timing. Couldn't have been more perfect for Muhammad's successors. So right as Heraclius
lined
has
up.
just won this incredible victory, he'd be lauded as one of the greatest heroes of all of Roman history. The Muslims invade. And they subsequently will lose Egypt and Palestine again, including Jerusalem. and they will also split up permanently because the Coptic Monophysite Christians are totally fine with the Muslims because at least they're not those nasty Byzantine Emperor guys over there forcing their own Christianity on us. Okay, so
Wait, real quick.
and they'll lose all of Persia. Also, all falls.
Yeah, yeah. Persia falls. Monophysite Christians are the Coptics today, right?
Yes, they're the descendants of yeah.
So if monophysite means one body, is physite body?
That's very common. Not quite. So the Monophysites disagreed with the Council of Chalcedon that said that Christ is one person, one hypostasis, with two natures.
God and
Monophysite,
man.
yes, the Monophysites said that he is one person with one united God-man nature. That sounds like a meaningless distinction, but it mattered a lot to them, and even still continues today as a conflict. Okay, so the Monophysites still exist, and largely they exist independently because of Islam, because they were seconded underneath the Islamic authorities. They pretty much forever were distanced from the rest of broader Christendom. So, yeah,
I met a lot of Coptic Christians in Egypt. When I was in Egypt, which was more than 7 years ago.
It was before the
It was
first.
before, yes.
Yes,
And they had a lot of interesting history about.
and it goes back even this far and even earlier. It's incredible, right?
Well, they claim. I think they claim the
Saint Mark is their
Mark. That's what I was going to say.
apostolic-
The apostle Mark
Yes.
came and founded their church, their original church, and then
Yeah,
the rest of
yeah.
Coptic
So Alexandria was a huge center of Christianity early on, and that's kind of where their center is at.
So you're saying though that because of Islam's takeover, basically the Western history is kind of forgotten about this story in a lot of ways.
It also tarnishes Heraclius' reputation, right? If he had died at that point, just having saved all of his empire from utter destruction, totally a hero that would be known amongst the greatest.
Right.
Because of Islam, pretty much everything he had gained is lost eventually. So, Austin, pull up a map, if you will, just pull up Conquests of Islam map. Just show everybody, and for the podcast as well, you'll see a map. You know, you can even contrast it with the Byzantines before, and then after, you'll see Islam just takes huge swaths of land. Much of those holdings are literally just them conquering the Persians, who'd fallen into disarray after Heraclius, and then conquering the Byzantines, who had nothing left pretty much to field against the Muslims, except for like one major army they had that lost pretty badly. So that's a great story, and kind of what happens when you're too busy fighting each other.
Oh my word!
And
Look
you
at that.
can't take out. So
That's
really,
literally all of the Byzantine Empire except for
Anatolia and Greece, and parts of their holding still in Italy at that point.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, all of it's gone within the next 100
Into
years.
like India almost. That's wild.
and all of Spain as well.
It's honestly crazy that the Persian Empire held out in different fragments and segments as long as it did.
Oh, absolutely. Again, they're like the arch. Again, part of the problem is we don't have as many records as we do of the Romans. So they're always kind of like the arch nemesis of Rome within our own historical context. But they were their own entire story, really. Yeah.
But they're also the arch nemesis of the Greeks.
Yes,
But
exactly,
so they're going
exactly.
through all these Greek, Roman, and it's like the Arabs are the ones that do the final blow.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's true.
Well, I mean, they still exist today. I mean, Iran is modern day Persia.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. That's the story of Emperor Heraclius.
It's quite crazy,
Wow.
man. That's didn't know
Really,
about him.
really crazy story. Yeah. So how long did he live? When did he die?
Austin, that's an awesome question. Look that up.
That's
I
an
don't have the
awesome
date
question.
written down, but yeah, again, by the end of his life, he was pretty much a shell of what he once was. He got paranoid. He got so maybe PTSD or something, but he couldn't even go on water on boats anymore. He was so
I feel like
terrified.
any emperor
Yeah.
ever would have to deal with a certain level of paranoia.
That's
You know,
many,
like,
many
probably
do.
do.
Like, yeah, you do.
I can't.
The amount of assassinations and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Heraclius died in 641 AD at the age of 65.
Yeah.
65.
long time.
It's pretty good.
Long time,
Especially
but
for
yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
65?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, again, I always think about him when I see that coin in our collection at my archaeological center that I work from, because I have one of his golden coins that he minted for the celebration of the True Cross. It's kind of fun.
All right. I want you to bring it next episode. You think you get your hands on it?
Maybe in a couple episodes.
I am no longer ABD. I've been kicked out of my program.
Pass a couple around.
You're literally caught on 4K. I mean, come on.
Your Honor, that's AI footage.
That's
it's not
AI.
me.
Even though
trust
Jonny said anyway. Wow, that's a pretty cool story, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
honestly, yeah.
You're a
great.
good teacher, James.
Yeah.
Aw,
Your
thank
students are lucky to have
Yes.
you.
You're
as
very
well.
kind. You're very
As
And a
Yeah.
good podcast.
And a good
host.
podcast.
Good job.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, if we do say so ourselves.
The committee.
The committee, yes.
Accepts.
Yeah. Wow. So, obviously, we got to get to work on a song
Oh, yeah.
about Heraclius. Honestly, the name Heraclius is going to be hard to fit into
It
a
will
song,
be.
I think.
It'll be fun.
Wait, what's his nickname?
Heraclius.
Cleo? Cleus? No, maybe Cleus?
Well, it's funny because the first two syllables sound like hero itself, Heraclius.
Heraclius.
So, Unsung Heraclius.
Unsung
Heraclius. Miraculous.
That will be difficult. We'll figure it out.
Miraculous. Oh, we're already
Oh.
writing. Whoa.
All right, stop.
Just made up a word for that.
Yeah, just make up a word for it.
Yeah. So, James and I are going to get to work on that song. It's going to take us a while to work on it, but you wonderful audience are going to hear that right after this. So you don't have to do much waiting, basically.
Yes.
And
come back next episode because I will be presenting and taking us all to 1850s London.
ooh,
There we go.
That's
So-
a nice preview. Danny,
Stay
you
tuned for
already know
episode
who
2.
you're going to talk about.
Yes,
That's
we are
crazy.
more
That's
prepared
nice.
this time.
Yeah.
Yes. So stay tuned for that episode. But the music that Jonny and James, maybe some of the other ones will create.
Yeah. I wanted to say also, we got obviously season 2 underway. We're going to keep the same rule as last season. I think we're going to keep this rule. I don't remember if we nailed it down, which is we're not talking about World War II heroes.
right.
Yes.
Got to keep the rules.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Last season, so James kept the rule this time. Good job, James.
I did. Yeah.
And it sounds like 1850s London is not,
It's
also, it's
not
not World War
World War
II, so
II.
that's good.
It'd be very
But
trippy if it was.
He lived
Yeah.
100 years and then
Yes.
fought in World War II.
last season, we started off the first episode by talking about a World War II hero. I think
Mad
we
Jack.
should. Yeah, Mad Jack. I think we should allow ourselves one per season.
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
So obviously, the first 2 episodes are not going to be.
Well, we did do
World War II.
Wojtek the bear, but he's not a person, so technically
It doesn't count.
doesn't
Mm.
count. Yeah, so
Could do Winnie the
Nah,
Pooh.
yeah, that
That's
doesn't
World War One. The
Winnie
bear.
the Pooh is
Anyway,
a hero from World War
no,
I.
what the bear that it's based off of? It's a real bear. Do you guys not know about this?
Is that
Wait,
no?
really?
remember Wojtek? The
Sorry, World
episode?
War
Wait,
II?
wait, save it for the next episode.
Okay,
Save
wait,
it.
was that? No, that was a different one.
That's what I
Is that
did.
the same
How
one?
many bears were there in World
that
War?
Wojtek?
Was that World War One or World War
Wojtek
Two?
was the Polish bear who actually was given a rank in the military.
Yeah, but was he the inspiration for
No,
Winnie
I
the
think
Pooh?
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
No, that's a different bear. Anyway, that's just,
That's a dark
we
bear
gotta
story.
We gotta end,
Okay.
end this. End
New
this
rule:
story.
no more bears.
Oh no! Who fought in a world war?
Fought in a World War.
All right. All right. That's it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Any other thoughts? No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah.
Thank
Stay
you all
tuned
for
for
listening. Stay
Yes,
tuned
Guys,
for
stay
more.
tuned for the song playing right after this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Now.
With Coast Row, Maurice thought he had it all. His army wanted to go home in winter. When it all fell, they needed Heraclius. When he's done, they'll be calling him Heraclius. He's getting focused, to get at focus, to get back the cross, to claim his throne at last. He gets to focus, his head on the block. Could you rule better? Wretch, I'll do better. Wretch, I'll do better. Could you rule better? Wretch, I'll do better. It's over, got his forces on the run. Nothing left, lost his men at Antioch. Surrendered, thought that he was worthless. In the church he sees the light with Sergius. He melts down the gold to get at the goal, to get back the cross, to get revenge at last. He makes him go home, he fights him so low. Could you rule better? Wretch, I'll do better. Wretch, I'll do better. Melts down the gold, get at the gold, listen.